starts or the terrorist alert does go up, you'll be able to change your ticket without paying penalties. Delta's also making more liberal guidelines. This applies now, though, to international flights only. Let's check in now with Bill Cameron live in the newsroom for a preview of what's coming up next on Chicago PM.
Well, tonight, more on why we think we're getting close to capturing Osama bin Laden, what organized religions are saying about the war, a new E2 reform proposed at City Hall, and a Chicago alderman says God is in the corner of Osta Channel 7 anchor Diane Burns. All right. Coming up on Chicago PM.
Sounds interesting. Let's check in now with Gordon Deal at the Wall Street Journal for a look at the stock markets. This report brought to you by the New York Stock Exchange. Hi, Gordon.
Hey, Jim. It was an update for stocks. We saw some cautious buying today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 70 points to 77.75. The NASDAQ was higher by 6. The S&P 500 finished up 7. The 10-year Treasury note was higher by an eighth with a yield of 3.62%. The world's largest fast food chain is expected to report a drop in February sales next week. Chicago-based McDonald's has been under pressure from a price war with rivals and poor winter weather in the U.S. Shares were down 14 cents to $12.77. And General Motors today said it was considering selling the commercial mortgage business of its GMAC finance unit. GM stock up 35 cents to $31.62. Once again, Dow Industrial's up 70 points, NASDAQ higher by 6. Jim?
Thank you, Gordon. Traffic and weather next. WLS News Time, 6:06.
Accenture is a coin word. It means accent on the future. Our business is to help our clients create their future.
We're at the New York Stock Exchange with Joe Forehand, Chairman and CEO of Accenture, a world leader in management consulting and technology services.
We think by combining our consulting capabilities, our richness in delivery of technology services, and outsourcing, coupled with our alliances, we can bring the best value to our clients.
Forehand on Accenture's network of businesses.
Clients are looking for the ability to bring solutions.
Right, Joan. Now it.
Save my car. Save me time. Save me money. Thanks, Midas.
Save up to $20 on any service. $100 or more.
I'm in there from Route 53. All the tollways are looking in pretty good shape.
Tomorrow, a little bit of sunshine, high 35. Friday, mostly cloudy, high 40. Saturday, some light snow, high 32. Recapping tonight's low 10. It's 20 at O'Hare right now. Downtown along the lakefront, 24. Chicago PM is next. I'm Jim Johnson. News Talk 890 WLS.
Hi. Notice anything?
Find a place where
And invest in
Limited time.
Chicago PM on News Talk 890 WLS.
Chicago, my hometown. Hey now, baby.
Good evening, 614, Chicago's News Talk 890 WLS. It's Chicago PM. Jay Marvin, Bill Cameron, and Jim Johnson. Jim, let's get to
Hi,
it.
Jay. Yeah, with news that popped out at me, ABC reporting late this afternoon that we could have a beat on Osama. I don't know. We've been down this road before. They say that captured Al-Qaeda's been singing.
But not like this.
Right.
Because we've never had anybody this close.
Why would they tell us now that they think they got him? Wouldn't Osama hear this and skedaddle?
Well, just a short time ago, Peter Jennings was debriefing Brian Ross about this connection with the mastermind that we did catch the other day, Mohammed, and Osama, and why that's getting them closer to capturing Osama, dead or alive.
Well, Mohammed was believed to be in touch with people in bin Laden's camp, and officials said today they are now closing the noose on Osama bin Laden based on information they obtained during the arrest of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
And this is for telephone communications, you think?
Telephone communications. They're now focusing on a region of Pakistan, the Baluchistan province, which borders Iran. That is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's ancestral homeland, and there have been unconfirmed reports of bin Laden being seen on both sides of the border in Iran and in Pakistan.
And what do we think the definition is of closing in?
They feel they're getting close. There's as much optimism tonight, Peter, as I've heard in 15 months from U.S. officials that they're closing in on bin Laden and that he will be taken soon, they say, dead or alive.
The director of the CIA is in Pakistan. The connection?
George Tenet was in Pakistan today. The agency says it was just to present a plaque, but many think there's something big brewing.
So there you've got a guy who watches this story 5 or 6 days a week, getting a little excited.
Well, who predicted that we'd catch him? Me.
Colin Powell. Oh, you?
No, I did 2 weeks ago. I told you we'd get him. I told you we knew where he was.
Tenet was presented with a plaque with Osama's head on it, maybe.
See, here's the key. Here's the key of releasing that information. The key of releasing that information is twofold. One, it boosts morale, but the other thing is that information gets out. Those people start communicating, and they move, and then we track them and nail them. Because don't forget, you use a computer, you pick up a phone, you do any of that stuff, we're on you immediately.
If you were being tracked like this, would you go back to snail mail?
I'll tell you one thing, I wouldn't go back to anything, and I wouldn't communicate with anybody for a good long time.
That'd be no problem for you because you don't have any friends.
That's exactly right. That's why I could hide.
Most people go back to the loved one. Just kidding, Jay. Hey, a couple of interesting stories today. Also, we're going to talk about City Hall coverage today. Bill Cameron was over at City Hall. One of the more unusual. We'll be talking about this later, but Bill, tell us what that happened at City Hall today.
Well, one of the aldermen thinks that God is on the side of Diane Burns, the Channel 7 anchor who was ousted when she wouldn't renew early her contract.
We'll talk about how they got involved in that. That's pretty much unusual. They do tributes to people when you're retiring, dead, or leaving town, but not usually when you're in a contract dispute.
Right. Makes you suspicious.
Are they going to do one for me when I get in one?
I don't think so.
No, maybe, we could ask. Do you have any friends over there?
No.
The mayor would probably pen a condemnation resolution on you.
See,
that's probably right.
If you weren't listening this afternoon, I was reporting with Rowan Gary about how the Pentagon has been leaking information. And again, I'm not sure why they do this. And Jay, maybe you have a better view on this than I do. They're leaking information on what kind of an attack Iraqis can expect. They say that it will leave them in awe and terror, as we will hit Iraq with 10 times as many bombs in the opening couple of days of this war as we did the whole war back in 1991.
They're talking about, 40,000 bombs or something like that in 48 hours?
Could we run out?
No.
Actually, during the Persian Gulf War, the original one, 91, they were, remember, having soldiers take the nuclear warheads off of nuclear bombs so we could use them as conventional weapons?
We won't run out. And why do they leak that information? Well, imagine if you're part of the Iraqi army or you're close to Saddam Hussein. Now, you have a choice. Either you sit quiet and do nothing, and you allow 48 hours worth of intensive bombing, or perhaps you get a whim and you cap this guy. What would you do? I'd kill him.
Now, I can't remember.
And if I were him, I'd run to Beijing.
We have $25 million on Osama, right?
Yeah.
We had $25 million on this sheikh that we just got, I think, or millions. But for some reason, that wasn't enough. Now, did the police that led the Pakistani police get the money, or are we just going to hand out $25 million checks?
Well, I don't understand. I mean, I can't figure out, what are you asking here?
Who gets that money for the sheikh?
Well, nobody does, because the Pakistani intelligence services nailed him, so that's their job. And it's to the country's benefit, so they just get paid. I'm sure they get a reward of some sort.
I sure would have thought that much money in a third world country, a poor country, would have gotten somebody to drop a dime on it.
Well, how do you know? Do you think that the average person walking around, say, in Rawalpindi knows who this guy is or what he looks like?
Where you'd get him as one of his co-conspirators.
And he's not going to walk around with a sign on that says, "Hi, I'm wanted by the CIA."
You're usually turned in by somebody that you know and trust, right?
That's only that's
movies.
Yeah, that's only in HBO and with the outfit.
Have you guys seen the cover of the New Yorker this week?
Yes.
No, I read Parade magazine.
It's got a cartoon of Osama on a subway train in New York City, squinting at the map of the subway system.
Well, I've said if he shaved his beard and put on a business suit, he could disappear. If he didn't want to keep in touch with his terrorist buddies, he probably could blend in.
There's an article today in the New York Times. This Yemeni cleric claims that he gave Osama bin Laden $20 million, and one of the places he used to raise the money was a mosque in the Bronx.
Yeah.
An emissary of the Pope met with the president today trying to talk him out of war, and it's kind of interesting what organized religions are saying about this war. Listen to John Cochran.
Ash Wednesday, the start of Lent, the solemn 40-day countdown to Easter. The Catholic Church, fearing war will start long before Easter, urged parishioners to fast and pray that there be no war.
That doesn't make a difference, and if the president doesn't listen to that, I think it will be in serious trouble.
But Christians are divided. Many Catholics support military action in Iraq, despite the church's official stand. President Bush's main support comes from conservative Protestants.
In Iraq today, 5,000 children die a month, according to UNICEF, from the sanctions policy. Is it moral to continue that? And to my friends in the religious left, I would say, in giving peace a chance, you allow that immorality to continue.
President Bush belongs to the United Methodist Church. It does not support him on the war.
We regret that the president has seemingly isolated himself from certain views when it comes to this war.
Bishop Talbot made an anti-war commercial on behalf of 36 Protestant denominations.
War only creates more terrorists and makes a dangerous world for our children.
The president's critics say Christian scholars going back to St. Augustine believed a preemptive war is an unjust war. Jim Hutchins is a former military chaplain who says St. Augustine never envisioned Saddam Hussein.
I think that would be a blight on our own character to sit back and wait to be hit.
So
St. Augustine was unavailable to confirm or deny.
What do we take also, there's allegedly a passage in the Quran which also talks about the same thing. Unjust aggression. But I'll go back to what you and I tangled about with last night. I'm not saying we should do it again, but...
Thank you.
And I keep doing... You know what, Jim? Don't push me.
It did generate a lot of email to my...
Yeah, mine too. People want to hear this. Okay? If you have nothing to add, then don't add. People who run these ads and people and like the protesters who are outside and all of that, that's all good and it's great. And it shows that we have one thing here that they don't have in Baghdad and they don't have in many other societies, the idea of plurality and duality. But the problem is, what is the answer? And you're going to tell me once again, and we're going to go round and round about this, about containment. And I keep trying to demonstrate to you that containment doesn't work, but there's no constructive alternative. Why don't these people engage, I don't want to use the term these people, why don't people engage in some kind of constructive alternative? If they don't want war, what is the alternative?
Why don't we talk about something that'll make you a lot happier?
Yeah, let's do that.
This is a big anniversary for your favorite tyrant.
You talk for 10 minutes and I'll go slug Jim. No, what?
This is the 50th anniversary of the death of Joseph Stalin.
Stalin.
And there are new findings about how he died.
That's right.
Listen to this from Peter Jennings.
More than 3,000 people met today at the Soviet dictator's grave adjacent to Red Square. Many of them said Russia could use a leader like Stalin again. They mean that Russia needs discipline, but it is remarkable that people still think this way about a man who murdered millions of his own people during his rule from the 1930s until the end of World War II. In a poll done for the anniversary, more than half of Russians say Stalin had a positive role in history. They seem to remember the man who defeated the Germans on the Eastern Front in World War II. There has been intrigue about the way Stalin died for half a century. In a book to be published this month, two scholars, one American, one Russian, support the theory that Stalin was murdered by the chief of the secret police, Lavrenti Beria, poisoned because the inner circle thought Stalin was on the verge of starting a disastrous war with the United States.
So there you've got another guy who was killed perhaps because he was going to pick on us, as many argue today that Saddam Hussein is about to pick on us if we do not act against him and do as you say, somehow kill him.
Well, in Stalin's case, first of all, the Russians actually suffered worse under the Nazis than they had to, because Stalin, prior to World War II, arrested the majority of the hierarchy in the Russian military and put them on trial in these show trials and executed them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was...
So when they went to war, they had nobody they had no brain trust to command the troops. And then the other thing is that this rumor about this thing about Beria doing this, Lavrenti Beria doing this is called the doctor's plot. And they believe that Beria had the doctors use a kind of then-developed rat poison, which was a clear liquid and odorless, and that they fed it to him over a 10-day period, and it caused massive hemorrhaging.
Maybe that's going on with Saddam right now.
Now, you know what happened to, it's either Beria or the other gentleman who's one of the three. Starts with a, well, I'm just using that euphemistically. Starts with a B. Bukharin, I believe. One of them, before Khrushchev ascended to power, one of them jumped out a window, i.e. was pushed. Now, we're not sure who did it. I don't think anybody knows who did it, but...
Jim, I think this is the first occasion in which we've talked about Koba, and he hasn't compared him to George Ryan.
Well, because George Ryan doesn't need to be pushed out a window. He's going to jump anyway before it's over with.
Hey, what do you make of this breaking story that's happened right about the time we were going on the air here?
Bill Cameron.
Operation Imminent Horizon going on, in which the U.S. is asking 60 other countries to kick these characters out of their Iraqi embassies, because they're apparently in more than 60 other countries. So this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, they're spying, and this has been going on forever and a day. I mean, all embassies are full of spies. Talk to anybody who has ever worked for the CIA will tell you that.
Yeah. We spy over there, and they spy here.
Correct.
Coming up, we're going to talk about protests in the Loop today. Also, Diane Burns, what she was doing at City Council, taking up her cause today.
627 at WLS. WLS 3-day forecast. Steady lake effect light snow will persist near Lake Michigan. Then it's going to stop. And tonight, mostly cloudy. A chance of some snow showers beginning again, but no serious accumulation is listed here. A low in the lower teens. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, a high in the mid-30s. And then tomorrow night, partly cloudy, a low in the upper 20s. Friday, partly cloudy, and a high in the lower 40s. Tonight, mostly cloudy, chance of some snow showers, but no accumulation is listed here. WLS Time Saver Traffic, here's Grant Park.
And here's what's left, and it's not much. It's been a very light rush hour inbound Kennedy, Cumberland to Canfield.